Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, July 18th. A mixed bag of tricks. Yesterday during regular trading, the Dow continued its upward climb to close solidly in the green. The NASDAQ stumbled on its worst day since 2022, dropping 512 points or 2.77%. The S&P 500 also ended in the red, giving up 78 points or 1.39%. Bill, let's get into Thursday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're up 0.19, about 0.2%. That's positive going in today. Earnings are really in focus today. Last night we get those earnings from Taiwan Semiconductor, which were positive, and they raised guidance. So that's kind of elevating the sector this morning. So that's kind of positive because there's a lot of concerns on the semiconductor, sector with, Trump talking about additional tariffs and Biden talking about tariffs. Tariffs, they're not great for the economy. When you do that, it's the consumer that winds up paying more. So I'm not really a big fan of them. What else we see in the airline sector? The airline sector is weak this morning as, we got some lower guidance data coming in from UAL and Alaska Airlines. After the bell today, we get Netflix. They're reporting. I see that odds of President Biden leaving the race are increasing over the last 24 hours. And he's kind of been open to the idea. So, he's down with COVID right now. So we'll have to wait and see. There's not going to be an announcement, today or maybe unlikely this weekend. But, wouldn't be surprised if he does bow out. Listen, we got multiple Fed speakers today. We got Goolsbee, Logan, we got Daly, all speaking today. Remember, the Fed's going on their blackout period on Saturday. So these are kind of like the last comments from these officials before the Fed goes on blackout date before the FOMC meeting towards the end of the month. In Europe, hey, we're seeing gains in Europe this morning. They're higher. They got that ECB announcement on monetary policy. No changes are expected, but they'll probably say something encouraging. And the market's kind of anticipating 2 more cuts from the ECB, this year. So, that's something to keep an eye on, which would mean that they'll probably be delivering some positive commentary in this announcement. Looking at the markets, we get looking at the DAX this morning. The DAX is in the green. We're showing the DAX up 52 points or 0.29%. One of the key things is autos are rallying in Germany, which is good. And the reason why they're rallying is because the latest EU passenger car data was positive. It showed growth. So, you're seeing autos rally, and when autos rally, the DAX typically goes higher. The FTSE's up 52 points as well, or 0.64%. I've seen some gains in energy stocks. The CAC in Paris is up 42 points or 0.56%. A lot of it is about the ECB monetary policy announcement that's coming out, so we're keeping an eye on that. In Asia last night, we did see some mixed bag. The Nikkei fell. It fell 971 points. That's 2.36%. That was related to the tech selling in the U.S. and it carried on over to the Nikkei, and so you saw that trade continue. But in Hong Kong, it actually rose. Hong Kong actually rose, 39 points or 0.22%. Shanghai in China actually rose 14 points, 0.48%. China saw some good gains in telecommunications and consumer stocks. In Hong Kong, property stocks, financials, and consumer stocks were all positive. They didn't come out with any real exciting announcement on policy stimulus plans, but that could still happen, overnight. So we're keeping an eye on that. And one of the things I want to point out is Chinese retail stocks are rallying this morning. We're seeing gains in the Chinese retailers. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get some, positive news from out of China on a stimulus action. Turning over to oil this morning, hey, oil is, ticking lower. I mean, we got the WTI at $82.75. We got Brent at $84.88. Okay, we had a big move, a sharp move higher yesterday. And that was on the back of the stockpiles. So the stockpiles had a 4.9 million barrel draw. Draws are bad. That increases oil prices. But the future demand remains questionable, and that's going to really start to take over a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if the gains the losses that we're seeing in oil this morning extend today. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. There's no, OPEC is expected to keep, their current level of production next month when they have their OPEC meeting. But and then Friday we have the report from Baker Hughes on oil rigs, which I expect to be a little higher. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, keeping an eye on plenty this morning. Can hear from your opening. You're watching political news. We're watching earnings today. You're looking overseas. You're watching oil and still gathering more information that we're going to get to throughout the show as earnings action is picking up here. We have some major names reporting. You gave us a look at some of those names in your opening there, but we're going to get to more details on earnings action. So Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to earnings.
Let's start off with Alcoa, ticker AA, Apple. They delivered a beat. And remember, they delivered a beat. Remember, they said like last week that it was going to be like 14 cents. So, that means they came in at 16 cents. So that's like a 2-cent beat. But earlier in that, the estimates were for a loss of 2 cents. You look at Alcoa, it's up 0.24%. Market's kind of having a hard time pricing it because of the recent update in guidance that the company gave. We're talking United Airlines, UAL, Uncle Apple Larry. They beat by 21 cents and they did it on higher revenue. But and you look at the stock this morning, it's up 0.81%. Concerned about that guidance. DFS, Discover Financial, David Frank Sam, they beat by $2.99 on higher revenue. You look at DFS this morning, it's up 3.17%. Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, Tom Michael, they beat by 7 cents on higher revenue. And let's face it, they did guide higher. You look at it, shares of TSM this morning, and guess what? They were up 1.63%. So a nice move for those guys. Upcoming this afternoon, Netflix, NFLX. It's a big one. EPS, $4.70. Expected move, 8.58%. No, that's over $50 for Netflix. It's going to be a big move. Netflix is trading a little higher this morning. The password sharing crackdown, is that going to lead to additional subscribers for Netflix? We'll have to wait and see. Or is that trend over? Today's earnings report will give a little update there. Travelers Group, that's ticker TRV, Tom, Richard, Victor. They're also releasing tomorrow morning. Their EPS is $2.76. Expected move is 3.94%. American Express, ticker AXP, Apple X-Ray Paul. Their EPS is $3.21. Expected move is 4.69% when they release tomorrow morning. Emily.
Keeping track of all of that using your NewsWare and that earnings alert. You're also keeping a track of economic events, things like economic reports, along with Fed speak, both important to keep an eye on. So, Bill, what are you watching when it comes to economic events today?
Oh, I got a lot going on. I got jobless claims coming out at 8:30. Last week figure came in at 222K. Estimates for this week's report is 229K for the period ending July 13th. Okay. We also got the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index at 10 a.m. We get the leading indicators. In terms of Fed speak at 1 o'clock, we're going to be hearing from Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee. Then at 6:05 p.m., San Francisco Fed Bank President Mary Daly is going to be speaking, and then at 7:30 tonight, we're going to be hearing from Fed Governor Michelle Baumann. The Beige Book came out last night, and economic activity, maintained a slight to moderately pace of growth in the majority of the districts over the last quarter. But the funny thing is that the overall expectations for the future growth of the economy was for slower growth over the next 6 months. So I'm a little concerned about that, but we'll have to wait and see how things play out. But today, jobless claims will probably be the key one, and of course, with the Fed speak, Austin Goolsbee will definitely be dovish when he talks today at 1 o'clock. But that's what I have for you in terms of economic data coming out today, Emily.
Bill, even with all of that, you're still keeping track of more data and information, news coming out of different sectors and segments. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You also group your stocks together, creating an alert for your Dow 30 stocks, your FANG stocks, really being able to keep track of all of this information in an organized way, gather it quickly, and use it to your advantage on the trading day. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Looking at my Dow stocks, I got 17 higher, 11 lower, the rest unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm showing gains across the board in those FANG stocks, which is positive. I do think we saw that rotation out of tech, and I think we're seeing a rotation back into it today. You're gonna, they are pretty cheap prices today, with the exception of Apple. But we'll have to wait and see. See how the day rolls out. One thing about Apple is they scored a record 72 Emmy nominations. It was reported. I don't think that they can do all the Emmy nominations they want. I don't think that that's really going to be boosting the stock price because it's about the iPhone and the App Store. That's what moves that stock price. The Apple TV, nice. The headset phone, nice, but they're not drivers of the revenue. Google, I see that EU trust regulators are asking if Google's AI deal with Samsung is going to hinder rival chatbots. Makes sense. Tesla, I mean, you're seeing Tesla showing gains of over 1% this morning. Those EU car registrations were up 4.3% in June. It's a positive factor for the stock to move off of. In terms of Dow Jones 30, we're talking Apple. Goldman is out there with a note expecting Apple to exceed earnings. They're expecting a beat when Apple releases earnings later this month. Boeing, ticker BA. I see that those Seattle workers, they voted in favor of a strike. So that's not positive for Boeing. But Boeing also had the number of airplanes that they made in the first 15 days of the month is slightly lower than it was last year. I'm not too concerned about that. That's they're going to ramp up later this year, and that's when you're going to see some stock gains there. In terms of merger news, Darden Restaurants, ticker DRI, they're going to be acquiring Chewy Holdings, ticker CHUY. Chewy Holdings is a restaurant firm. They operate restaurants, like 100 restaurants in like 15 states. They're going to be acquiring them for $37.50 a share in cash. Warner Brothers, ticker WBD, William Boyd David, they're talking about a spinoff of their digital streaming studio units. That could be interesting. Let's talk guidance. United Airlines, they backed their full year 2024 adjusted guidance of $9 to $11. Street estimates at $10.04. It is in the middle. Okay, that's why the stock is a little higher, but Delta was a little weak. But then you had Alaska Airlines, ticker ALK. They see Q3 revenue coming in $1.40 to $1.60, whereas the street estimate had it at $2.05. That kind of concerns me. And you look at the airline sector as a whole, and it has turned. I mean, I will say it was all red before, but now I'm starting to see some green in UAL, Delta, and JetBlue. So that's positive. Okay, let's talk about what else do we have here in terms of guidance? We got ticker NVS, Nancy Victor Sam, Novartis. They raised their full year 2024 operating income guidance. Taiwan Semiconductor, they see Q3 guidance 22.4 billion to 23.2 billion. Street estimate has them at 22.65. So yeah, that's something. There's some room for that to go higher. Abbott Labs, ticker ABT, they raised their full year 2024 EPS view to $4.61 to $4.71. Street estimate had it at $4.63. So that's that's on the low end. So there's room for that to run. So Abbott Labs came with good guidance. And shareholders reports, Darden Restaurants, DRI, they're having an investors call today on their recent acquisition. The next call is going to happen at 10 a.m. Quanta Services, PWR, they're having a call today at 9 a.m. on their acquisition. In terms of buyback news, DR Horton, they announced a $4 billion stock buyback plan. Ooh, that's big, DHI. Bank of the Ozarks, ticker OZK, Oscar Zebra Kilo, they announced a 200 million share buyback. And that's all I have for you in terms of news sitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
Going with American Express, ticker AXP, Apple X-Ray Paul. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is $3.21. Expected move is 4.69%. Looking at yesterday's call volume, we have 6,593 calls versus 4,261 puts. Open interest, 171,072 versus 117,292. Both positive. Like to see that. Major brokers are mostly positive going into it. They're raising price targets. That's nice to see. And now, in terms of an entry price, listen, I want to get in under 250. My target price really is 249, but I don't think it's going to hit that. So I got to say 250. But I'd like to say 249. But I still have a lot of time before the market opens up. So somewhere between 249 and 250 will be my entry point. I don't, the guidance kind of, I'm cautious on the guidance, but if I can get my 1% gain during the day, I'm going to take it and walk away. But I do like American Express, ticker AXP, going into earnings. Data's checking most of the boxes, so we'll go from there, Emily.
Bill, American Express it is today. And I was about to say, looking at all those data points ahead of earnings, looking for that specific entry point, grabbing that 1% when you see it, if you have that opportunity today, hitting all those points in your strategy. And we will see coming up when we do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day, how your strategy worked with that one. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Ford, ticker F, they invest $3 billion to expand Super Duty production to assemble in Canada in 2026. Let's see what else we got here. Ring Central partners with 4 Inc. for cloud communications to the public sector. Ticker ZIMV, Zebra India, Michael Victor, stock just jumped 15%. There's a report out there of OSTEM Bio talks, ZIMV. Abbott Labs, Q2 worldwide medical devices sales up 10.2% on a reported basis. Pretty good. There's a story out there. SL Green, SLG, Sam Larry Gray say that the worst is over for New York offices with a question mark. We don't. Wayfair, ticker W, announces a Black Friday sale in July. When is it going to be? Beginning July 24th at midnight. Goldman Sachs is rolling out this new investment strategy for their robo-advisor betterment. Anheuser-Busch, BUD, Bud Light sales continue to fall. Woof, WOOF, William Oscar Frank. Now, the former CEO of Five Below, ticker FIVE, is a guy by the name of Joel Anderson. Remember, he resigned yesterday. Stock fell apart. It wasn't a good day for Five Below yesterday. Guess what? He's taken over as the new CEO of Petco, WOOF. Joel Anderson, CEO now has been named the CEO of Petco. Interesting. GE Healthcare, Grace Edward Henry Charlie, they're going to be acquiring AI business from Intelligent Ultrasound for $51 million. Italy's Italy regulators are looking at Google over personal data usage. DPZ, Domino's Pizza, fell short of estimates. Stocks getting hit this morning. Chevron and CVS Health, Vermont's Attorney General yesterday sued these two companies, accusing them of driving up the cost of prescription drugs. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Abbott Labs. They did release earnings this morning. Abbott reported adjusted earnings of $1.14 per share. Analysts were looking for $1.11. This was done on $10.377 billion. And analysts were looking for 3.7, so still a little bit more than what analysts were expecting. You did give us that note about their guidance during your NewsWare alerts breakdown. Bill, I saw it climbed yesterday, not far from the entry point that you had mentioned. I see it up even more this morning. I'm looking at 105.50 right now. How did your call work out?
Fabulous. I mean, the stock opened up at 102.65 and fell to 102.50. Now, if you remember, I was saying, listen, I'll get in anywhere between 102 and 102.50. Well, it fell down to that 102.50, and then it bounced from there, and it took off, and it actually, closed at 104.68. And then, you look at it today after earnings. I mean, the stock has already hit a high of 107.94. I mean, so, that 102.65 opening price yesterday, from there all the way up to 106 47, which is the offer right now, and after hitting a high of 107.94, definitely a winner. It was a good double. It was a good percentage winner yesterday. Very happy with Abbott Labs, ticker ABT, Apple Boy Tom yesterday, Emily.
Bill, a good pick ahead of earnings there, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's American Express pick of the day ahead of earnings. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week with NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.